Hey everybody, welcome back to Thing a Week. This is a really good one. We've talked about the disc of attention and how that burns your bandwidth a couple of weeks ago. And we're talking about different ways to make sure that you're focusing on the right thing in practice versus when you're in a tournament, and how to shift your attention between those two to make sure that you're fully effective. Well, the one thing that I need to make sure that I tell you this week is when to start paying attention. Because if you walk into a big tournament like Vegas and you start buttoning yourself down and you start focusing right away and you try to focus, because it takes 3.5 hours maybe to get through a round, depending on what round. Some rounds are 4.5 hours, depending on what kind of tournament that you're shooting. No one can maintain their focus for that long without being absolutely exhausted. So learning how to turn the focus on and be very intense with it, and then turn it off and take a break, so that essentially when I'm shooting my bow, I take 20-second bites of focus. And here's how I have this set up. My mental game is just like my procedure for shooting the bow. We have the big four, which you can go back and look at those videos, the big four. And it shows how to focus on what form thing that you need to make sure that your consistency is in place for shooting. And mental game works the same way. The second that I pull, let's walk through how I get ready to shoot an arrow. So the first thing I'll do, beep, beep, they tell you it's time to walk up to the line. I grab my bow, and when I pick my bow up off of the floor, I say to myself, okay, let's get this right. I may actually say the words out loud to make sure that my brain is turned on and I'm not still involved in that conversation that I was having behind the line. I'm not ruminating on whatever may have happened in the previous arrows or worrying about what may happen in the future during the round. I just go, okay, let's get this right. And that turns my brain on and gets me focused. But the second that I really drill down and close that attention in and I really start paying attention, the trigger for that is when I snap the arrow on the string. So I'll be looking around, maybe chit-chatting with the guy next to me as we're getting up on the line and finding our places and getting ourselves ready. And then I pull an arrow out and snap it. And at that point, I like to visualize this. Like a cake dish where you put the cover over a cake dish, right? And totally block everything out. I visualize it that way, where I have like this cover that goes down over me, and it becomes silent, and I'm just paying attention to what I'm doing. And when I snap my arrow on the string, that's when I begin everything. At that point, I run a little movie through my head that says this is how the shot's going to go. Then I go to release, grip, target, right? I start walking through the procedure of the shot. But having that one little trigger where I go click, focus, and I get everything done, and then when I finish, follow through, and I put my bow down, I break my focus. I might look around, I might dangle my hands, take a breath just to clear that tension out to get ready for the next arrow. So having some sort of a moment, it's one thing to say that I have to focus more. It's one thing to say that, but it's another thing to actually choose when do you start focusing and when do you turn it off. So if you take little 20-second bites of focus for each arrow, it takes 20 seconds from the quiver to shoot an arrow without any rush at all. So if your focus is 20-second little bites, you're not worn out at the end because you have little breaks in between. Look around, chit-chat, communicate with somebody or whatever. Then you get your arrow out, you snap it, and then you put down the wall, do everything, and then shoot. So that's it for today's Thing a Week. Don't forget, I do lessons at improvemyarchery.com. So if you want to know a little bit more about this, improvemyarchery.com. So I'll see you guys next week on Thing a Week.